ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। So good morning and welcome everybody. As you know, we will be discussing the life of Sri Ramakrishna today. This is the fourth part. So we will just recapitulate a little what we have discussed. I'll just share the pictures. Yeah, so here you can see Thakur's beautiful painting. So we have seen that this is Shudiram actually belonged to the village of Dere, and this is his pond in that village. So these are some of the fields of his village where he was, and from Dere he was forced to move to Kamarpukur. So this is the Sri Ramakrishna Temple in Dere, that is Shudiram's native village, and he was forced to move because he did not give a false evidence in favor of the zamindar of his village. So that was the name of the zamindar was Ramananda. Who is there? Hmm? Yeah, but they let them come and sit down. No, why are they there? So these are the ruins of the zamindar who was there. And this is the map of Kamarpukur and Jairambati, where Shudiram moved from his village. Another map which we had seen. Here you can see Kamarpukur, Jairambati as well as Shihor. Shihor was the place of Hriday Ram, Sri Ramakrishna's nephew. And these are the paddy fields of Kamarpukur where Shudiram moved and where we all know that Sri Ramakrishna was born. And this is Sri Ramakrishna's ancestral home. This is a view of Kamarpukur. This is Haldarpukur where Sri Ramakrishna's father used to have his bath. And this is that Raghuvir Shila which his father had obtained through a divine incident which we have discussed. This is the shrine of the family. This is a recent photo, so this is what is worshipped now. And we had seen that how Shudiram had gone to Gaya. See, these are the photographs of the Gaya temple. In the Gaya temple, he had received the vision of Gadadhar, who had promised to be born as his son. And this is another photograph of Shudiram's home and the Shiva temple. and his mother also had this vision. When she was standing in front of the Shiva temple, she saw a light emanating from there, and she felt that she was with a child. This is the inside view of the temple. Another photograph of that Shiva inside view. This is the place where Sri Ramakrishna was born. Of course, this is a very old photograph, so everything is changed now. And this was the family's hut. Very old photograph. This is as the place is now. Now of course Ramakrishna Mat Kamarpukur, so everything has been renovated, and there you can see the temple also, the shrine where Raghuveer is worshipped, and the play hut where Sri Ramakrishna was born. A hut where Sri Ramakrishna stayed. He was born in a shed, as we know. So this is the temple of Kamarpukur as it is today. This is the place where Sri Ramakrishna was born. And a close-up view of his room in Kamarpukur. And this is the inside of his room as it is today. This is the place where Sri Ramakrishna studied. This was the village school or Pathshala at that time. And these are some of Sri Ramakrishna's friends who studied with Sri Ramakrishna in his school. This is Sri Ramakrishna's signature. Here we can see. And handwriting of Sri Ramakrishna, which we have seen. Then this is a pictorial depiction of how Sri Ramakrishna had his first vision when he saw some snow white cranes against the dark clouds. He went into ecstasy. Then this is again a statue where it shows that Sri Ramakrishna, when he was made to dress like Shiva in a play, again he entered the superconscious region. Then another vision we have seen when he had gone to the temple of Anur, then chanting the name of the Divine Mother, he experienced ecstasy. So this is the temple, and this is the inside of the temple. Mother Vishalakshi then used to play in the mango groves of Manik Raja. So here you can see an old photograph of that. This is another photograph, Manik Raja's Am Garden. Am means mango garden. And this is just a view of the lake. So then we also learnt about Dhani Kamarini, who gave the first alms to Sri Ramakrishna. So that was her house, and this is the house as it is now. So these are the ruins. Yeah, so I think this is enough. So today we will start with the master is coming to Dakshineshwar, and this is probably the most important period of his life, because it is here that he obtained the first vision of his chosen deity, that is Mother Kali. So we know that Shudiram, his father, passed away in 1843. So Sri Ramakrishna was very young, just 7 years old at that time. And after the passing away of Shudiram, the entire burden of the family fell upon the shoulders of Ram Kumar, his eldest son. But misfortune never comes alone. So after the death of Ram Kumar, after the death of Shudiram, soon after that, the wife of Ram Kumar also died, leaving an infant son behind. His name was Akshay. And unfortunately, at this time, Ram Kumar's income also diminished, and being forced into debt, he had to go to Calcutta. So in Calcutta also, Ram Kumar began to experience great difficulty in managing all his duties alone. So when he had gone to Kamarpukur once, he noticed that his brother Gadadhar was not so much interested in studies. So he just thought that it would be better if he could take him to Calcutta with him, so that he could supervise Gadadhar's studies there, and Gadadhar could also help him in his work. So Gadadhar, that is Sri Ramakrishna, agreed to the proposal, and both the brothers set out for Calcutta on an auspicious day. So in 1850, when Sri Ramakrishna was 14 years old, Ramkumar opened a school for the study of Sanskrit in Calcutta at Jamapukur. That was the central part of the city, to earn some money to meet the financial needs of the family. And he rented a cheap room with a tiled roof in a sort of slum on Bechu Chatterjee Street. So in our last discussion on Master's life, we have seen photographs of that place. And he brought the master there in 1852. So Sri Ramakrishna lived there for 3 years, and he was interested with the duties of a priest. He used to go to the house of people and perform worship and all. So this was how things were. But Gadadhar had been brought to Calcutta so that Ramkumar thought he could be more interested in his studies and earning some money. But there was no change in Gadadhar. He was the same boy as before. So Ramkumar once asked him that, why aren't you paying attention to your studies? So in reply, Sri Ramakrishna said, brother, what shall I do with a mere bread-winning education? So we have all this we have discussed. Now a new event occurred with very far-reaching consequences in the life of young Gadadhar. So at that time, there was living in Calcutta a rich widow, a very noble lady by the name of Rani Rasmani. So now we will see some pictures. Rani Rasmani, of course, the life of the Rani we have discussed. So still I will show some photographs. So this is Rani Rasmani. And we have also seen that she spent a very big fortune to build a temple to the great goddess Kali on the eastern bank of the Ganga at Dakshineshwar. So how much time it took to build a temple, what a huge amount of money was spent, all those we have discussed when we discussed the life of Rani Rasmani. So Dakshineshwar is about 4 miles north of Calcutta. And the plan, those who have gone there, of course, they know that in the midst of a rectangular paved courtyard, there stands the vast temple of Kali. So that I will again just show some images of Dakshineshwar. You can see the main temple here. Of course, this is just a sketch, but a very, very, very accurate one. And this is the upper view of the temple from above, as it were. This photograph is taken. So here you can see that the main temple stands where it stands, and to the left of the main temple, the building which you see is the Radhakantha Temple, that is the temple of Krishna. So a very important event occurred with regard to this temple, that also we will discuss. And to the right of the main temple, you can see what is called the Nath Mandir. That is just a sort of hall where people come and wait, and sometimes singing takes place. And below you can see the 12 temples of Shiva. So this, for those who have not gone to Dakshineshwar, this image gives an aerial view, as it were. And of course, this also, you're all familiar with this image. So this was the place where the Rani built the temple. So the date for the installation of the image of the goddess Kali was fixed for May 31st, 1855. And the Rani was a very noble and pious lady, so there was no limit to what she could spend for the goddess's temple. But unfortunately, the Rani did not belong to a high caste. So, Bengal and other places of India also, we have to keep as a priest a Brahmin. You cannot keep as a priest of your temple any person of a lower caste. Now, since she did not belong to a high caste, a Brahmin could not be procured to officiate as her priest. So that was according to the orthodox custom of that time, because it was derogatory for a Brahmin to worship for a person of a lower caste. That was the situation in those times. So the Rani made frantic efforts to collect the opinions of renowned scholars, because if these scholars showed a way and they passed it, then the society would also accept it. So she consulted everybody that what to do, how to get out of this situation, because without a priest, what is the temple for if no worship can be performed there? So the solution came from Ram Kumar himself. He solved the problem. He said that if Rani made a gift of the Kali temple to a Brahmin, endowing it with adequate funds for maintenance, it would be in keeping with the injunctions of the scriptures, and no Brahmin would be considered degraded by acting as a priest. Because if the temple was gifted to a Brahmin, then it belonged to a Brahmin. So then nobody would say no, no Brahmin would say no, because he would be working under a Brahmin for at least for what is written, as an injunction sort of thing. So then this was done. She dedicated the temple to a Brahmin, and the temple was consecrated with great pomp. And after a few days, Sri Ramakrishna also began to live with his brother in the sacred temple garden of Dakshineshwar. So just some more photographs I will show. This is from the other side. So here you can see closer to us is the Nath Mandir, then the main temple, then comes the Radhakantha Temple. In this photograph you can see here. And this is a photograph of the Shiva temples from the front. The 12 Shiva temples. And this is a photograph taken from the Ganges. What a beautiful view it is. You can see this, of course, this is a old photograph. And this is another beautiful picture in high resolution of the Shiva temples taken from the side. So this was the situation. I will just. So this was the situation that Sri Ramakrishna moved to Dakshineshwar with his brother, and at this time Hriday, a young man who was destined to be a very close companion of Sri Ramakrishna for many years, he came to Dakshineshwar. So he played a very important part in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. We will discuss that. So he was a nephew of Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna was very glad to get him so that he would have some help. And we have already discussed the life of Mathuranath Biswas. So I will just share some photos again. This is the Panchavati. We will discuss it later. This is a beautiful picture of Dakshineshwar. So on the right side, you can see another concert tower, which is called the Nahabat. So there was one Nahabat on the other side where Holy Mother lived. And here you can see to the extreme right, there is another Nahabat there. So this is a picture taken from the bridge. There's a bridge which connects across the Ganga from where we go to Dakshineshwar. So from that bridge, this photograph is taken. And this is the photograph of Hriday. So Hriday, you can see behind Sri Ramakrishna here. Sri Ramakrishna is in Samadhi, and Hriday is supporting him so that he does not fall. You can see here. And this is the photograph of Mathur Biswas. Mathur Biswas, we have already seen that he was the son-in-law of the Rani, and he was the administrator of the whole estate. And of course, later he became a very great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. So when Gadadhar came to Dakshineshwar, the eyes of Mathur Biswas fell upon this young boy, bright-looking boy, and he persuaded Sri Ramakrishna to take charge of decorating the image of Kali with flowers, leaves, and sandal paste, etc. in the morning, and jewelry, etc. in the evening. So Sri Ramakrishna agreed, and he joined his brother. So he gave himself heart and soul to the task, and in leisure hours, he used to entertain the goddess Kali with devotional songs, etc. So soon after his appointment in the Kali temple, an incident occurred which enhanced the worth of Sri Ramakrishna in the eyes of Rani Rasmani as well as Mathur. So we have already seen the pictures of the Radhakantha Temple. Now an incident occurred there. I will just share the photograph. So this is the Radhakantha Temple. This is the side view, and this is the front view. So here what happened, the priest who was serving in the Radhakantha Temple, one day while he was carrying the image of Krishna, he slipped and fell. And the image broke. The leg of the image broke. So, it was a big thing that how can you worship a broken image? All these, in those times, it was a big thing. So, what to do now? So, they asked the Pandits and scholars, etc. So, they said that the broken image should be immersed in the Ganges and a new image should be built for worship. So, now, finally, Mathur and Rani Rasmani approached Sri Ramakrishna for his opinion. So, he said that suppose the leg of Mathur Babu broke, then would Rani get a new son-in-law? Just common sense view. She would try to, heal him and cure him, no? So in the same way, he said, the image can be used for worship after that leg is repaired. And he himself repaired that. So we will just see some image. See, this is the image which was broken. Of course, it is now no longer worshipped. So you can see here the image. This is this is the image that was broken, and I think this image which I showed previously, that is worshipped today. So this was the image which was broken. And this is the foot of that image which was broken. So here you can see, of course, in the photograph it is not so clearly visible, but it is said that Sri Ramakrishna had mended that image so beautifully that no one could even make out that it had been broken at all. So Sri Ramakrishna's advice was taken, and after mending that foot, that image was worshipped. So now after this priest had fallen and the image broken, that priest was discharged from his duties, and now Sri Ramakrishna took over the duties of that priest. So he became the priest of the Radhakantha Temple, and Hriday was appointed to assist Ram Kumar in dressing and decorating the image of Kali. So Sri Ramakrishna was doing the decorating earlier. So since he was made the priest of Radhakantha Temple, Hriday was put in his place. So of course Sri Ramakrishna started his duties. Now Ram Kumar, he was always apprehensive about Sri Ramakrishna because Sri Ramakrishna was not interested in studies and all. So then Ram Kumar thought that let me teach my brother the elaborate procedure of worship of Kali, so that since he is not interested in studies, at least after that he can be made the priest of Kali so that he can earn a living. Now, when anybody starts the worship of Kali, it is mandatory that he should take initiation in the mantra of Kali. So, Sri Ramakrishna now took initiation, and his first guru, we can say, was Kenaram Bhattacharya. Kenaram Bhattacharya was a very respected, sadhaka of that place. So he initiated Sri Ramakrishna, and it is said that as soon as Kenaram uttered the name of the goddess in Sri Ramakrishna's ear, immediately Sri Ramakrishna went into, he had experienced great religious fervor. So from this time Ram Kumar asked Gadadhar to take over the worship of Kali, and he now started worshipping Krishna in the Radhakantha Temple. So Ram Kumar was now no longer young, so he decided to visit once Kamarpukur, his native place. So since he would not be there, Sri Ramakrishna was permanently put in charge of the worship of Kali. But unfortunately, Ram Kumar could not reach Kamarpukur and on the way he passed away. That was a very tragic event in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, because just a few years ago his father had gone, and his older brother was just like a father to him now. So he had also gone now. So he was practically alone in this world. So when misfortunes come, then only people start thinking seriously. Then that everything passes away in the world. What is there to what we can hold on to? So Sri Ramakrishna began to put forth all his energy in search for something real and imperishable. So he plunged into sadhana. Sadhana, prayer, worship, meditation, etc. And we have all seen the goddess of Mother Kali. I will also show you here. That image of Kali has a great philosophical implication. We all know it denotes, that how this creation, preservation, and this dissolution of the universe takes place with the help of that one Shakti. So all this is beautifully displayed in that image of Kali. Just share again. So here you can see the image of Kali before you. She is the Kali at Dakshineshwar. She is called Bhavatarini, and she is wearing a gorgeous sari and is decorated with ornaments from head to foot, you can see. And from her neck hangs a garland of skulls, and round her waist there is a girdle of human arms made of gold. In her lower left hand she holds a human head, and in the upper one she holds a sword. And with her lower right hand she offers boons to her devotees, and the upper one is symbolized as the Varabhaya Mudra, that is, she is blessing the devotees that don't fear. So all this you can see in the image there. And the skulls and the sword represent her terrible aspect, and her right hands offers boons and fearlessness, that is, it denotes the benign aspect. So this shows that it is one energy. It is not that good and evil, there is a Saturn and there is a God and they are always fighting. It is not that. There is one energy which is manifesting as bad as well as good. So Mother Kali is both terrible and benign. She is not only creating the universe but also destroying it at the same time. So this is the deity whom Sri Ramakrishna worshipped. So I will just share another photograph. Here you can see another beautiful photograph. But to Sri Ramakrishna, she was ever the affectionate mother, the repository of all blessedness and power, sweet and tender, full of motherly solicitude, the mother who with loving care protects her devotees from harm. And to her it was that he offered his whole-souled devotion. And this image you can see, it is a beautiful painting. You can see clearly the garland of this human heads, and on her left hand you can see she's carrying a human head, and that sword is dripping blood. So yeah, so I just 1 minute stop sharing this. So now Sri Ramakrishna became very, very eager to obtain the vision of his mother. And he began to shun the company of worldly people. And at night, when everybody was asleep, he would arise and go to an adjacent temple. So that, adjacent jungle. So I will just share some photographs. That is known as the Panchavati, Panchavati. There are 5 trees there. So here you can see a image of Mother Kali, another beautiful image, Dakshineshwar. And this is the jungle. So this is the Panchavati. Another photograph I'll show you. This is a more recent photograph. Of course, unfortunately, it is no more the same. Except the main tree, everything is gone. It is so sad. These authorities, Sri Ramakrishna's place of sadhana, that Vedanta sadhana, etc., that cottage was there, everything is wiped out. It is so tragic. And they have brought made some, modern structure and all that. It is simply what to say. So this was the Panchavati where Sri Ramakrishna used to go at night. And whole night he would spend in meditation, and he would return only at daybreak. His eyes used to be swollen as if he was crying, or because he was so eager for the mother. So now Hriday used to sleep in the same room. So every night Hriday used to see that Sri Ramakrishna would go, and he would come in the morning. So he thought that if he doesn't sleep at night, how will he perform that? It is so complex, that ritual and worship of Divine Mother. So once he also followed Sri Ramakrishna. So he saw that Sri Ramakrishna, when he used to go, he used to take off his sacred thread. Brahmins wear that thread, and he used to take off his wearing cloth also, and he would sit in meditation. And then Hriday, to make him afraid, he threw a few stones there. But naturally, how could that affect Sri Ramakrishna? So afterwards, when Sri Ramakrishna returned, Hriday asked him, "What are you doing there alone in the jungle at night? So, and why have you taken out your sacred thread and all that?" So Sri Ramakrishna said, "Keep quiet. What do you know? This sacred thread is a symbol that I am a Brahmin and therefore superior to others. But while calling on God, nobody is superior or inferior. So I bereft myself of all these things and try to call on Mother with a simple heart." So this started now Sri Ramakrishna's intense sadhana, and realization of God became the only passionate, absorbing passion of this young boy. And he would shed profuse tears like a child in front of the mother and pray that, "Mother, where are you? Reveal yourself to me. You revealed yourself to such great saints like Ram Prasad and Kamalakanta. And am I such a wretch that you will not reveal yourself to me? I want nothing. I don't want worldly pleasures, wealth, friends, enjoyments. I only want you." So this was the sort of prayer which came from his heart for days, weeks, and months. The whole day used to be passed in spiritual practices. And when he said that, when in the evening the peal of evening bells in the temple announced the close of the day, he would realize that another day had gone. And he would grow disconsolate and cry to the mother, saying, "Another day is spent in vain, O mother, and I have not seen thee. I have not realized the truth." So now, in course of time, such a religious fervor overcame him that he could no longer conduct the worship in a regular way. Regular, what is written in the scriptures and all. Sometimes he would sit before the image of Kali like a statue, keep on sitting like that. Or sometimes while meditating in the course of worship, he would put a flower on his head and sit silent for many hours. or while offering the food to the mother, he would gaze at the mother as if she was actually taking it, actually eating it. So he was ridiculed at first for such strange acts, but his steady devotion slowly commanded the respect and admiration of Mathur Babu and Rani Rasmani. So this went on for many days, and at last that sadhana reached consummation and he obtained the vision of his chosen deity. So fortunately, we have from Sri Ramakrishna's own words how he experienced Kali. So I quote him. He says about that blessed time, I was then suffering from excruciating pain because I had not been blessed with a vision of the mother. I felt as if my heart was being wrung like a wet towel. I was overpowered by a great restlessness and a fear that it might not be in my fortune to realize her in this life. I could not bear the separation any longer. Life did not seem worth living. Suddenly my eyes fell on the sword that was kept in the mother's temple. Determined to put an end to my life, I jumped up like a madman and seized the sword. When suddenly the Blessed Mother revealed herself to me, and I fell unconscious on the floor. What exactly happened after that, or how that day or the next passed, I do not know. But within me there was a steady flow of undiluted bliss, altogether new, and I felt the presence of the Divine Mother. So these are his own words, and there is a beautiful painting which I will just share. That is by the great artist, this I've forgotten the name. He had also shared his paintings before. So this is from a book published by Advaita Ashrama on the life of Sri Ramakrishna for children. So you can see this absolutely brilliant painting here. For some reason it is not showing on the screen here. So this image which you are seeing, those who are online, this is that sword, that sword of Mother Kali, which Sri Ramakrishna held in his hand. Somehow this is stuck. It's stuck. Anyway, so you could see that sword also. And now he became so eager to have this vision again, and he would cry bitterly to the mother so that this vision could be made a constant, a constant vision. Just 1 second, let me try again. See, this is the painting. Such a wonderful painting, and this is this sword. That sword, it's still there. So he would now cry bitterly for mother for this, always that she should be near him. And he used to cry so much that people used to think that something, people used to gather around him when he used to cry bitterly. But Sri Ramakrishna said that I scarcely realized the presence of all those people. I thought that they were just like pictures, they did not feel real. Only the Divine Mother would feel real. And when I would lose outer consciousness because of the pain of separation from Mother, I would find her standing before me in her matchless, radiant form and granting boons to her devotees. So, this vision soon began to occur more frequently. I used to see the mother smiling, talking, consoling, or teaching me in various ways. That is what Sri Ramakrishna said. So now his attitude towards the mother also changed. He became like a child, confident that his inability to see her whenever he wished was because she, in a playful mood, was purposely hiding herself. So his self surrender now was complete. He would say, "Oh mother, I have taken refuge in you. Teach me what to do and say. Hmm. I am just your instrument and you are the operator." So, as his realizations deepened, the visions of the mother became more frequent, and mother began to appear to him as an actual living presence. So, formerly he regarded the stone image of Kali as possessed of consciousness, that it was an image, but it was a conscious image. But now he climbed even higher. The image completely disappeared. And he used to see the living form of the mother standing before him in the temple. So Sri Ramakrishna said, I actually felt the breath of Kali on my hand. Hmm. And at night, when the room was lighted, I never saw her divine form cast any shadow on the walls, even though I looked closely. From my own room, I could hear her going to the upper story of the temple, her anklets jingling. To see if I were not mistaken, I would follow and find her standing with flowing hair on the balcony of the first floor, looking either at Calcutta or over the Ganges. So he could actually see, this is only possible most probably for incarnations of God. So all these things we have got from Hriday. Hriday use, these are the words of Sri Ramakrishna also, but many other details of that time. Hriday is the only source because at that time he was the only one close to the master. So Hriday said that now, after this vision, whenever we entered the temple of Kali, we also would feel a thrill, especially when my uncle was worshipping, as though there was a living presence there. So it was absolutely vibrant. That whole place became vibrant. So Hriday also says that at the time of worship, the master would become so deeply absorbed in meditation that there would be no sign of external consciousness. So, just a few more images of Mother Kali, and there is also one. This is, you can see, such a beautiful close-up image is there. And this is a depiction that Sri Ramakrishna is feeding the mother, worshipping the mother, you can see here. Of course, nobody was there to take that photo, but it is just artist's imagination. In reality, that image is much smaller in Kali. It is much smaller than this one. But it is a beautiful painting nevertheless. So, this was how Hriday described what he had experienced in the company of the master. Of course, he has said many more things that, Sri Ramakrishna, I'll just read from what he has said a little. So I quote Hriday. He said that his means Sri Ramakrishna's strange manner of worship filled me with wonder and reverence. But at the same time, I often questioned his sanity, for his actions were contrary to the injunctions of the scriptures. But Sri Ramakrishna had gone much above the scriptures. He was in a different plane altogether. So I was much afraid of what Rani Rasmani and Mathur Babu would do if the news of all his conduct reached. Because sometimes what Sri Ramakrishna would do, the food offered to the mother, he would eat himself first. Then he would ask, Mother, will you eat now? So that is unthinkable. This is it is unbelievable. So naturally, Hriday became afraid. Of Sri Ramakrishna's worship, he would say, I noticed that my uncle, taking flowers and bay leaves in his hand, would touch his own head, chest, including the feet, and then offer them at the feet of Kali. That is unthinkable. If anybody does that, he would be discharged in 1 second. Yeah. So at other times, with eyes and chest flushed, he would move like a drunkard with tottering steps from his seat to the throne of the goddess, touch her chin as a sign of endearment, and begin to sing, talk, joke, or laugh, or even dance, taking the image by the hand. Sometimes he would approach the throne with a morsel of food in his hand and putting it to her lips entreat her to eat that. So just one incident, that because Hriday was really afraid that what Mathur Babu and Rani Rasmani would think. So all these activities of the master confirmed for many that he was completely mad. So he was known as the mad Brahmin of Dakshineshwar. So all these temple officials, they sent a detailed report about these things to Mathur at Calcutta. And Mathur, to examine himself, he paid a surprise visit to Dakshineshwar. But he was struck with wonder at what he saw. Because Mathur was not an ordinary man. If any ordinary man would have seen all this, he would have simply kicked Sri Ramakrishna out. But Mathur had that spirituality. He could see that what the master was doing was due to his tremendous faith and devotion. So it did not take Mathur long to decide that Sri Ramakrishna's method of worship was the outcome of a genuine and profound love of the Divine Mother, the like of which is seldom encountered. It is never seen in the world. So he was convinced that Sri Ramakrishna was an extraordinary person. And not only that, he became convinced that the object of building and maintaining the temple had been attained. A really great soul had come as a worshipper of the Divine Mother. So immediately after seeing that, he sent word that nobody should interfere with Sri Ramakrishna's worship in the slightest. And now another incident occurred, and this also involved Rani Rasmani. So if a lesser lady was there in other than Rasmani, this incident was so serious that immediately she would have also asked Sri Ramakrishna to leave. So what happened was, once Rani Rasmani actually was very fond of Sri Ramakrishna's devotional songs. So she would often ask him to sing when she would visit the temple from Jan Bazar, Calcutta, where she lived. So once what happened, Rani Rasmani came and asked Sri Ramakrishna to sing a few songs for him. So Sri Ramakrishna began to sing. But what happened was, there was a very serious lawsuit going on at that time. So the Rani, although she was sitting in front of the master while he was singing, she began to think of the lawsuit. So Sri Ramakrishna, he could make out everybody, what everybody is thinking. So he said this thought here also, and he slapped Rani Rasmani. You can see this painting. I will just share. So you just imagine one of the richest persons of that place. Here you can see this beautiful painting. So anybody else other than the great spiritual lady Rani what she would have done, only God knows. But Rani Rasmani was such a great soul that she took it as a admonition from the Divine Mother herself. She thought that yes, I should not have been thinking of all these things in the Mother's presence. So Mother herself, through Sri Ramakrishna, had admonished me because I was thinking of worldly things in her presence. So this we had not mentioned when we discussed Rani Rasmani's life, because at that time we did not have time. So just one incident, then we will end today's discussion. This what we are discussing, all the events we are discussing, took place in the first 4 years of Sri Ramakrishna's sadhana. I have mentioned in a very brief way, otherwise it will take hours and hours and hours. So many things are there. Maybe we can discuss those separately. So one very important event which occurred, one divine vision which Sri Ramakrishna had, we will just discuss and then end today. So we all know that Sri Ramakrishna had a Catholic spirit from the very beginning. He made no distinction between one form of God and the other forms. So the realization of one aspect of the reality, one aspect he had realized as Mother Kali. So he was inspired to take up another aspect and determined to follow it to the final goal which it led. So he felt a strong urge to realize the aspect of reality which is Sri Ramachandra. Ramachandra, the son of Dasharatha, we all know. So he is also regarded as an incarnation of God. So he now began to do sadhana for that, and he assumed the attitude of Hanuman. Hanumana is the servant of Sri Ramakrishna. That attitude is called Dasya Bhava. When one looks upon God as his servant, one looks upon as servant and God his master. That is the attitude of Hanuman. So now Sri Ramakrishna took upon that attitude upon himself, and he soon gained perfection in this also. And at the end of his sadhana, he had a wonderful vision. It was so exceedingly vivid and so different from any of his previous ones that it remained long in his memory. He had the vision of Ramchandra also, and then he had this vision also. So he himself described that one day while he was seated in the Panchavati, a luminous female figure of exquisite grace slowly advanced from the north towards him looking graciously on him all the while. The idea soon flashed within him that she must be Sita, whose whole life had been centered on Ramachandra. So now that lady, the divine lady, suddenly entered into Sri Ramakrishna's body. Hmm. She actually entered into Sri Ramakrishna. So this was the first vision that Sri Ramakrishna had with his eyes wide open without meditating on anything else. He could actually see the living form. So this was the vision Sita, and ultimately, of course, he also had the vision of Ramachandra. So this is in brief the events of the first 4 years of his sadhana. So after that there was a break because now all sorts of stories began to reach Kamarpukur. That he has gone completely crazy. All he does is shout Kali Kali and all that. He does not perform worship in the regular way. Hmm. He must be put under the care of some doctor and all. So naturally, the mother of Sri Ramakrishna became very worried that what is happening. So in order to see for herself, it was decided that she requested him to come to Kamarpukur once. So Sri Ramakrishna went. Hmm. So that is another opens another chapter of his life. Of course, he again returned to Dakshineshwar. Again, he performed sadhana. Then Christian way and the Muslim sadhana. All these are there. So it's a long thing. So now he went to Kamarpukur, and regarding his stay there, we can discuss when we discuss his life again. So let us end here for today. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanastu.